August 9th, 2021, 7 p.m.
The clerk is ready, go ahead and please call roll.
Trustee Paulsen. Here. Trustee Hacker.
Here.
Trustee Lucas.
Here.
Trustee Elecna.
Here.
Supervisor Prater.
Here. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Review and approval of minutes from the regular board meeting held on July 12, 2021.
I'll make a motion.
No, I want to discuss something.
Can we have a first and a second and then have a discussion, please?
I knew that we were voting, actually.
Okay.
Sorry.
We have a motion by trustee Elecna and a second by trustee Bolts. Discussion, please.
Can I say something real quick before you
Yeah,
go?
yeah, I'm sorry, I
Okay.
didn't realize.
No, that's okay.
Still learning.
As you know, Betsy acted as clerk last month, right?
Correct.
Okay, so on page 3, when it comes near the end, I'd like to know how Clerk Mike made a statement. It was a pleasure working with us at the meeting.
I didn't delete that, is what it is. I didn't
It was a
delete
pleasure working, I'm going down. And then there was other thing, and it was about the swearing in, that was in May. And then, yeah, and I saw that, and I go, that's pretty good, I go, he's not even here. That's all I had to really say about it.
Okay.
I just got,
So would we
crossed.
like to amend that to strike
Amend
that
that,
from
strike that,
the
yeah.
minutes?
Make a motion to strike
Yeah,
the clerk's comment
Yeah,
from the minutes
from the July meeting.
from the July
Would you
meeting.
like to amend your second?
Sure.
It's been amended. Any further discussion?
Yes,
Yes.
you know, I have an objection to how my comments were characterized. I understand that not all comments are going to be recorded. I spoke for a total of over 8 minutes. And so I thought it was very interesting that it's put in here that Trustee Elecna refuted Trustee Lucas's comments about what she said. Trustee Lucas stated, listen to the tapes. Trustee Elecna said, do not point at me. Okay, so out of my 8 minutes, this was important to put in there. I think this just goes to the divisiveness that I see. What was not put in there, if you're going to put in there, then what you need to say when I had the floor in my comments, without permission asking for the floor, Trustee Elecna broke into it, okay? And then also, after Trustee Elecna said, do not point at me, it's not put in here that I stated, I'm not pointing at you, I'm waving my pen. And everybody was here, saw me waving my pen. And because the fact that this wasn't videotaped, and that's why I think it's very important to be videotaped, people cannot watch and see that I didn't point. And they also cannot watch and see that the comments that I said that I refuted to Trustee Elecna, if they watched the videotape from the month before, they would also see that I was correct. So I think that this really mischaracterizes me. It's taken out of context. I never pointed. I was correct. And I think I think this is just like another low blow to cause divisiveness in this board by putting that in there without the proof, without my response to it, without the fact that my comments when I had the floor were broken into. There's nothing about that in there. So I want to strike that line because I think that is just, or else if you're going to put that in there, put the contents in, put the contents about what Trustee Elecna said.
Clerk Leone, you wrote the minutes.
Yes.
This is your job. Do you like the way you wrote your minutes?
I write the minutes as in what I hear and put down the important pieces of the conversation into the minutes.
Clerk Leone, do you want to keep your minutes the way they are written,
I will.
except for the way that striking the second of the motion?
Right.
Okay,
Yes.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
That's the question.
I call the motion,
Can I throw something out on this too?
I call the motion to vote at this moment for the.
But I, there's something
we're
I have
still
to
in
do.
discussion.
Okay.
No, we are not. We're calling the vote at this moment.
That's fine, okay.
Please call roll.
Trustee Bowles?
Yes.
Trustee Hacker?
No.
Trustee Lucas?
No.
Trustee Aleka?
Aye.
Supervisor Prater?
Aye, motion passes. Public comments. Anyone wish to say any public comments? Moving on, review and approval of board audit report. I'd like to make a motion to review and approve board audit report from July 13th, 2021 to August 29th, for a total of $188,702.58. Do I have a second?
Okay.
Motion by Supervisor Prater, seconded by Donnie Bowles. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Trustee Aleka?
Aye.
Trustee Lucas?
Aye.
Trustee Hacker?
Aye.
Trustee Bowles?
Aye.
Supervisor Prater?
Aye, motion passes. New business, or unfinished business, none. New business, monthly financial investment reports, that's information only. Discussion and acceptance for the 2020 and 2021 audit report. We have Mr. Ed Tracy here, that from Sheldon Fox, that did our audit. He's going to take the floor now and do some discussion on our audit, which is right here in front of us.
Sure.
Ed, the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so I kind of wanted to just kind of cover the annual financial report and just hit some highlights of that, explain a little bit. The annual financial report starts out with our independent auditor's report on pages 1 and 2, and that's our opinion on the financial statements.
Can
And
you go over just, I'm sorry, we have 2 new board members, just really kind of maybe show them exactly what you're talking
Sure,
about, please.
sure. Yes, so if you refer to pages 1 and 2 of the audit report, it's of the annual financial report, I'm sorry, it's just your bound document.
Oh, the bound one?
Yeah, the bound one.
I got 3 of them.
Yeah.
Oh,
your bound one.
sorry, that's why I wanted to,
Yes, no,
yeah,
I apologize, I
no
didn't,
problem.
I didn't get a bound. Pages, so it's, we can just kind of, if I show you the table of contents first, maybe that'd be the best way to do it. It starts out with a list of principal officials, that's just kind of informational only. And then it has our independent auditor's report on pages 1 and 2. And that report is what our opinion on the financial statements that file and whether or not they're fairly presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. Our opinion is an unmodified opinion. That's the highest form of assurance that we can give that the financial statements are fairly presented in accordance with the generally accepted accounting principles. So it's a standard unmodified report. The next section is a management discussion and analysis, and that is just kind of a narrative summary of the year. It hits a lot of required points, so you'll see a lot of like bolded headers throughout the thing. Those are all required topics that need to be addressed in the management discussion and analysis. You can go into more or less detail in some places, but for the most part, you're required under our audit standards to address these specific topics. Then we get into the basic financial statements. And if you notice on the table of contents, there's 2 types of statements. There's government-wide statements, and then there's fund financial statements. And briefly, I'll explain the difference. Government-wide financial statements take into account long-term assets, long-term liabilities. It's more of a long-term perspective. But so when you purchase a piece of equipment or a truck or a vehicle, it's recorded as a capital asset, kind of same thing as a fixed asset. On that statement of net position, so it's on the balance sheet, and then over the course of time, you depreciate it as you use it over its useful life until the value on the balance sheet goes away. So you're kind of expensing it over time. In the fund financial statements, when you purchase a long-term asset like that, it's just expensed when you purchase it. So there's the balance sheet for the fund financial statements does not contain any long-term assets, doesn't contain any long-term liabilities. So those, what are long-term assets and long-term liabilities? Besides fixed assets, there's a net pension asset or liability. In your case, it's a net pension asset. And compensated absences. So when we're talking about accrued vacations, that stuff. Those are considered long-term assets and long-term liabilities. Everything else is, the fund statements are closer to a cash basis. They're not exactly a cash basis because we do pick up some accounts payable if you incurred expense in March and paid it in April. We recognize the expense in March. So it's what's called a modified accrual basis. It's kind of it's a closer to cash basis is what I would say, but it's not cash basis. And that's what you're used to seeing on your monthly financial reports each month. Those are done on the modified accrual basis. Those are the fund financial statements. These government-wide financial statements, which are on pages 11, 12, and 13, are done only at the time of the audit. It's not something that's done internally. It's not how you budget. That's not how you operate. It's just, it's really think of it as additional set of statements to give you a little longer term perspective, I guess. So just a couple of highlights from those statements, if I can. So if you go to page 11, that's right, I'm just gonna hit the highlights because page 11, so this is the statement of net position. So this is your balance sheet. It's a snapshot at March 31st, 2021. And this includes the long-term assets. You'll see in the asset section about 5 or 6 down, you'll see a line net pension asset. That is calculated by determining your total pension liability, your benefits that have been earned to date that will be paid out into the future. And that's determined by actuaries, and it's compared to the assets that are on hand at IMRF. So you make contributions to IMRF each month. The investments are put in a big investment pool, but within that pool, every participant has their little piece of that pool. And so those investments can change, based on the contributions you had, the benefits you pay out, the change in the market value of those investments. So that investment value changes all the time. And your pension liability is calculated annually on December 31st, which is, it's acceptable to use a December 31st valuation for March 31 year end. It's just, the government standards realize that you're not going to get a pension or a valuation done every couple months. And so, as long as it's within 12 months of the year end, that's what you use. So that pension liability is calculated at that point in time. The investments obviously change over time. So they compare the two, your investments on hand versus your pension liability, your calculated future benefits paid. And to the extent that the assets exceed the future benefits, you have a net pension asset. If it was the other way around, you'd have a net pension liability. Right now, you have a net pension asset. IMRF's investments have done very well in the last couple of years, so that's certainly helped. And it's always been pretty close to even, for a number of years, and probably 3 years ago, you were typically about 90% funded, which means your investments on hand were about 90% of your future liabilities. Now that's kind of flipped, and you're about 110% funded, where you actually have more on hand versus your calculated liability. So that's a good position to be in. I will say the other item I just wanted to point out in this statement is you'll see something called deferred outflows of resources, pension related, and deferred inflows of resources a little further down, pension related. Basically, I'll tell you as simply as I can put it. When they calculate the pension liability, there's assumptions being made. There's estimates of projected return on investments versus actual return and all that. So, and those get updated every year. To the extent that there's a change in that assumptions or the actual results compared to what was expected results, those obviously aren't going to always match up. To the extent they don't, that amount doesn't get taken against the liability or net pension asset all at once. It gets taken in over a couple of years just to smooth it out a little bit. And so it's this constant rolling thing. And so that, to the extent it hasn't been taken into the liability or asset yet, it shows up as a deferred outflow or a deferred inflow. Deferred outflow will eventually increase your net pension asset. A deferred inflow will eventually decrease your net pension asset. So it's just, these are some terms, these are things that are only on this statement here. So I just kind of wanted to point those out. The other thing I wanted to point out, I'll just point out, is within your fund financial statement. So if I ask you to flip ahead to page 17 and 18, this is your pension, on a fund basis, this is your income statement. It's the statement of net revenues, expenditures, changes in fund balance. It's your income statement. And we have different columns for each of what are considered the major funds. And that's based on if their total assets, liabilities, revenues, or expenses are more than 10% of the total township. Any one of those is listed as a major fund. So we have the 5 major funds here, and then the other ones are kind of grouped in this non-major fund. There's a combining statement in the back. Just to point out a few things, near the bottom, there's a revenues over under expenditures before other financing sources, usually before you transferred funds as part of your year. And you'll see the general fund had a positive bottom line of $113,592. The general assistance was positive. The permanent road had a negative balance, but that was a planned expense, planned use of reserves, I should say. General road fund, very small, negative, and then the motor fuel tax had positive. So overall, the results were generally positive, except in instances where it was planned to utilize fund balance, as it was the case with the permanent road fund. And then we also show that you transferred $510,000 out of the general fund to the permanent road and one of the non-major funds.
Building.
Building equipment, thank you. And that was again as budgeted. And a use of general town fund reserves that had accumulated over the years. So rather than having to maybe in the future go out to borrow for some of the equipment or major improvements, you were able to utilize existing general funds. So overall, the audit went smoothly. We make a few adjustments every year, and that's to be expected. It's part of the process. It's usually just, like I mentioned before, to bring in some of those expenses that were paid in April that relate to March. So, we book those back and we take a look at, some insurance. It gets paid, the premium year is different from the fiscal year, so we have to determine how much of what was paid in insurance relates to next year, and so that number gets changed every year. So those are the types of adjustments you make. They can fluctuate back and forth, but they typically just come from the information provided by Betsy here and I'm sorry, Betsy.
Yes,
Yeah,
correct.
I was thinking about it for a second.
No problem.
Yeah, Betsy, and Nicole and stuff. So again, that we were able to come in, do our work without any issues. We didn't have any problems getting information, getting support for what we asked for, so that we appreciated the help there.
Any questions for Ed? Okay. Hearing none. Can I please get a motion to approve or accept the audit for the 2021?
Motion?
Second.
Motion by trustee Lucas, seconded by trustee Volt. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call roll call.
Trustee Lucas,
Aye.
trustee Hacker,
Aye.
trustee Bowles,
Aye.
trustee Lightman,
Aye.
supervisor Perry.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you. Review of updated ordinance 2021-02, proposed amended road
Thank you.
budget.
Good night.
Thank you.
Everybody get home safe.
Thanks.
Um,
Thank you.
We are gonna have to, we're just giving this to you guys to review for the next month. Next month, we're gonna have another, road district budget. Basically, it was just, we forgot to put a number, we forgot to add numbers, okay, to the last budget. Honestly, that's what it is.
So, more specifically, it was the building and equipment.
Yes,
Numbers didn't get carried down properly, and the totals for expenditures didn't match the carryover. Numbers got confused on, and just specifically building equipment. We're not changing the budget anywhere else. So, for instance, if you look at the budget I gave you this evening, $259,500 got carried down to equipment expenditure. It didn't take into account the money that we had received from the board last year to buy the bucket truck.
Right.
Which is $200,000. So that was being carried over to the next year. And the truck came in.
Right.
Yes, Friday. So I need to amend the budget to cover the expenses for the contracts we have signed for equipment.
so that's why next meeting at 7 o'clock, there's gonna be a budget hearing for the road district. We'll hopefully approve this budget, okay? It'll happen at the budget meeting, and then we'll go into our meeting,
And if everybody has any questions,
Please
please don't
talk to
hesitate to talk.
okay? So that's just giving you to review it through that, and it's also been posted on our website as well as,
And I'll hang it up in my office also.
there, as well as, posted on in the newspaper as well. Okay, D, discussion of workshop for mission statements.
May I start?
Yes, you can start.
So I talked last month about, I said proclamation, I was actually meant a resolution on mental health. And so I was talking to a lot of the of our voters in the township and asking them for input. And someone had asked me, does the township have a mission statement? And I'm like, I don't know. You know, and so as the conversation developed, you know, I thought instead of just doing a resolution on mental health, you know, I think mission statement, this was actually suggested by one of our voters, stated, how about doing a mission statement that showing how we do value people, and we value people, you know, regardless of the walk of life, their socioeconomic, what, you know, their race, gender, etc., and also put in there, you know, the mental health and health. And they said by doing this, and I thought, wow, this is a good idea. Then to answer Barbara's questions, because Barbara's like, well, what would make you think somebody would come up to us if they have mental health problems? If we have it in our mission statement, and then people will say, hey, you know what, I do have a problem. Every time the newsletter comes out, I see this mission statement. When I see them, you know, in a function, they've got this mission statement, and that may help, you know, reach out to our general assistants or call the office.
Trustee Lucas.
Yeah.
What is the point of township government? By Illinois state standards and law, which is what we are supposed to follow.
There's three functions.
What are
One is general assistance to those in need.
Okay.
One is taking care of the roads and the bridges.
Okay.
And third is assessing the property.
Okay. Where in backed by sanctioned by Illinois state statute and law is mental health? Because by my standards, that's state and county.
Sure.
I'm clarifying, just because I want to follow by law, by Illinois law,
Right.
our mission is those three standards,
Sure.
okay?
Our employees, how many employees are in the township? How many people do we
In
have?
the township, we have three.
And the township and the road district, the whole Winfield township.
Well, now, the whole road district is separate.
I'm not saying we're
Assessment
making
efforts are separate.
a mission statement for them, but if you have somebody who's driving and sees that this is the township, you really think that they're gonna say, oh, that's just the township's mission and it's not the road district, so I don't feel safe coming forward if I have a mental health issue? So that's one. And then the second thing, the general assistance.
Well, we're discussing, I want to make sure we're on the right track here. You're asking for a discussion of a workshop of a mission statement, okay?
Yes.
You're asking the board if we can have a workshop to discuss, to have the discussion of a mission statement.
Right.
So you would like to have a mission statement for the township,
Yes,
okay? And you would like to have a workshop in order to discuss a mission statement.
that's correct.
So,
So the other part, the general assistance, that's for people in need. So there are.
people in need for what?
Well, it's people in financial need, and a lot of times
Thank you.
people in financial need have mental illness.
Okay, stop, because that is a low, what you just said there, I apologize, and what you just said there is very, very loaded, okay? That statement, what you just said is very,
It's not
very
loaded.
loaded, yes
I'm a
it is.
registered nurse, and you can mark it, take it down again if I say it. And because of that, I do know that mental health problems will lead to a lower socioeconomic of the population. That is evidence-based. That is not a judgment call, that is evidence-based.
Trustee Lucas,
Yes,
I'm gonna ask everyone I'm gonna ask for a poll,
okay.
if you as a trustee or the supervisor would like to have a workshop for a mission statement. Or I'm gonna ask if everyone's opinion on that now, okay?
Sure.
Trustee Bolts, your opinion on the matter, please.
Oh, man, you're just gonna really open a can of worms here, aren't you? Because a lot of what I'm gonna say is gonna.
At least 2 minutes, please.
There's gonna be a chain effect right down. Because this is leading right kind of back into what you talked about your COVID clinic, okay? And I was gonna say, I gotta save my comments for the comments. But if you wanna put together a discussion, you wanna throw something out there, you bring stuff back to the board and everything,
It's gonna have to be a separate day, a separate
separate day
time.
and
Yeah.
a workshop, go for it.
For a
But bring
mission
something
statement.
back,
Okay,
you know, so.
Well, and
Yeah, I don't have
that's,
a problem with it, just you bring the information back so we can dissect it, look at it and see how it's gonna fit in with the township, because my opinion on it is, that's just me, and I just, that would fall under general assistance. Because not only do they come here for financial aid, they also come, I know they go to their Lions Club in this community for glasses and hearing aids. So the general assistant is not just to pay bills. That's for, if they need food, we give them food. If we direct them with phone numbers or people, doctors that can handle this thing, that's what the general assistance is for. How you make that into an individual mission statement, show me. Because the park districts, they have mission statements saying no for, and they'll list their mission statements. So yeah, bring the stuff back, look at it. I mean, that's all I'm asking.
Trustee Hacker.
It's 2021, I think you need a mission statement to guide every organization. It's on the board when I walk in every hospital. It's on the board where I walk in where I work. My employer has it. I believe these 8 people that work in this office may enjoy a direction because it's fluid. We all change. We all get voted in or out. But if you have a mission statement, at least then, you understand what I'm saying?
No,
There's some
because the Illinois
confidence.
state law and TOI, they say no. That's what I'm telling you. I'm telling you that. So they're saying the mission statement is general assistance, assessing the property and maintaining the highways from Illinois state law and statutes. Now again, boot camp is August 12th, guys, and that's a Zoom meeting which we're gonna be going to. So we still haven't been trained properly yet.
all right,
So
so can I
I'm
ask
just-
a question? You're saying that if we just state that we care about this, or this is what we value, you say that's against the law?
Negative. A mission statement is what your organization is about. That's what a mission statement is. That's the definition of a mission statement. What township government is about is assessing property, maintaining the highways, and general assistance.
People do that though.
I'm sorry.
People, that's done by people, for people, with people. So that mission statement would cover people. This isn't like a machine we're running. There are human beings affected in this.
I understand what you're saying. I understand. We're, like you said, we're just asking for a discussion of a mission statement for the workshop. So far we have yes from trustee Volz, yes from Sean Hacker,
Yes.
yes from trustee Lucas, trustee Legna.
I don't support virtue signaling just for this case, just to virtue signal. And just because everybody's doing it, doesn't mean we have to do it. So I say no.
Okay, so with what we have here, we will have a workshop to discuss a mission statement, and I will send out a date and a time of when we will sit down and have a discussion together as a board and get it up on there for a special meeting to sit down and have a discussion.
How did you vote?
It really doesn't matter,
Oh,
because even if I say no, there's 3 yeses and 2 noes.
Well, can I call a vote on this, on the workshop? I would like to make a motion to have a vote on the workshop.
I already did it.
Sean, would you want to second that motion?
Excuse me,
I'd like to.
trustee Lucas? Did I not just say this? Yes, 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 no, it really doesn't matter what I vote, does it?
yes, it does.
It does. To a lot to the voters, it does. I promise people transparency.
Ongoing business? At this moment, there is none. Department reports. Assessor Malay.
Sorry for being late,
No, it's fine, it's
Run
understandable,
up in
there's a
a
tornado.
tornado warning where she was, but she stayed where she was, so I had witness again. No. We are probably closing our books, middle of September, end of September, like we usually do. That's when our 30 days will start, when our notices go out. Right now, we're still working on all the assessments. We don't have all the sales in from last year yet from the county because it's got delayed, so. But we're we'll be on target to be done for the tax bills. So that's all we have.
Highway Commissioner Tucson.
Our paving pre-con meeting is Thursday. I wrote at 2:00. It's actually been moved to 9:30 on Thursday. We have finished our 5th county mowing and township mowing. We're still having issues getting materials and supplies, parts and stuff for equipment. It's getting worse. Our culvert and ditch cleaning program is in full swing. The bucket truck is in. The old number 4 and number 7 were auctioned off, and the proceeds went to the trade-in value of the new truck. So Alltech has a company that auctioned them off up in Wisconsin. We received $21,000 for number 7 and $10,000 for number 4. And that came off the total price of the vehicle. But there was also an $8,000 surcharge due to the price increase of materials to build the new truck. I recently signed a contract to purchase a new end loader in the budget season of 2022. Our old loader is getting tired, and we saved approximately $15,000 by buying it now, and we won't get it till next June. So, and they said if it came in earlier, they would work out a rental agreement. They said there'd be no charge for it. There'd be a zero rental because we're paying for the thing when it comes in. But by buying it now, we saved money. We're having starting to have engine and computer problems with our loader, and that is like a vital piece of equipment for us. If you have any questions about my amended budget, please don't hesitate to call me. And please mark your calendars. September 25th, the recycling event. We have a safety meeting, a brief safety meeting at 8 o'clock. And then we work till noon. We go home, but it's a good time. We served 655 cars last year, and we're anticipating another record year this year. So, and our new chipper is coming in at the end of the month. Thank you.
Awesome. For us, our DuPage in July, they serviced 6 rides, 2 riders, and we're pending on the charges there. Our bus did 30 riders and 72 stops. General assistance helped 4 families in July under emergency assistance. 3 received fuel vouchers and 1 received rentals assistance. We also helped out, or we did National Night Out. It was about 1,000 people that showed up. For all those that attended, thank you very much. John, thank you for you and Brian with the hats. That was a big hit, as well as bringing the dump truck as well. And thank you to Claudia that showed up, as well as to Steve that showed up with the bus. It was just getting out there and telling people about township government, and it was well received. Also, National Night Out for West Chicago is changing to October 5th. It's going to be held at the police department. I'm going to be working and trying to make sure that I can get over there and at least, I understand, at least a stand or something over there just so that we can represent Winfield Township.
Are they calling it National Night Out?
Yeah, they are, even though they
It's not.
right. They delayed it for their time, which is fine. It's extended. Comments from elected or township officials?
Sure, actually, I got a couple things I want to kind of throw out there. I'm just throwing stuff out there. Our agenda. Okay, when does that get written up? Do you write the agenda? You do the agenda. Okay. After what happened last month, is there any way, when does the final agenda have to be posted? Is it 72 hours prior to the meeting?
At the bare minimum, but
Okay.
normally it doesn't.
How can we get a preliminary agenda?
And how normally happens on the Wednesday prior to the meeting.
Okay, so let's just say if you send out a preliminary agenda to us, we see what the preliminary agenda is going to look like, and then any changes have to be given to you by what day?
The very least 72 hours prior.
Okay, so Wednesday.
Yeah.
Now that would alleviate what you ran into. Okay, you didn't see the thing, your COVID clinic on the agenda. Okay, if you had 72 hours prior to that, you could have requested it, hey, we got a preliminary agenda, why is this not on here, can we get it on there? So everybody happy with something like that, or get a preliminary agenda sent to us?
Yeah, I guess it could have also been old business, because I did discuss it at the meeting.
Well, I'm just throwing this out there, if we get a preliminary agenda, anything on there, we can add to it prior to that 72 hours.
Don, I'm just curious. You're the most, you're the
Yeah.
oldest trustee. You're the senior trustee. Sorry, excuse my language, senior trustee.
Okay.
When did Donna send out her agenda?
She, I don't know, this is why I am saying, okay.
When did
but-
Donna
but
send out her agenda?
Probably Thursday, Fridays, Mondays of the meeting,
The Wednesday,
okay?
every Wednesday.
I'm just throwing this out there because I think it would clear up a lot of not misconception, but a lot of aggravation. Okay, if I get a preliminary agenda and I, like you're talking about, you wanted something on there, it wasn't on there, you contact you, hey, can we get this on there? You guys have your discussion, okay, it goes on there, or it doesn't go on there. But this way, we get a preliminary, we can add to it, take something off of it, and then 72 hours prior to the meeting, we get our final agenda. It's all legal, right?
Yep.
So it's all, I mean, it's all.
And it helps to open your emails and read.
Well, yeah, well, regardless of that, it's, I just think we need a preliminary one. You can put stuff on there. If it's not on, if it's requested, not on there, we can add it on there. So let's see what else.
Just one thing to add to that, Don. So in the previous 4 years, when I was a trustee, I would email Donna to put something on the agenda,
Okay.
right? And it would take 2 trustees in order to do that, or the supervisor. So at that point, at any time, it's open the entire month. Send an email, and what I always did was I always sent the email to Supervisor Smith and CC'd Clerk Prater. That way, there's record of it, that request has been made. And it's not just through the supervisor, it's not just through the clerk, it's through 2 parties. Outside of that, you have to watch out for Open Meetings Act.
That's what I was thinking.
Right. So because the clerk's not a voting entity,
Oh, you
that's
can do
an
that.
acceptable,
We can't do that.
right. So if you want something on the agenda, you would email it to clerk, or to Supervisor Prater and CC myself as clerk. There's only 2 parties, so that doesn't hit Open Meetings Act. Therefore, then the second request would have to come in the same way. Now, once there's those 2 requests, at any point, that turns it on to me. When I see the agenda, if that item that was requested by both of you in separate emails is not on the agenda, then that's on me to say, Supervisor Prater, this needs to be on the agenda. So I think there's, the opening here is, I think there's some confusion is that this is open all month long. Anytime you want to put anything on the agenda, as crazy as it may seem, that is possible. Obviously, there can be issues with legal issues and things like that, but through that email process. And that's, that way it's there. I do understand what you're saying, to have a little bit of a time to say, hey, here is that agenda, and to say, okay, well, that's not on there, and then you got a little bit of time there to add to it, but you got a month. Starting when we leave here. I mean, I probably sent 20 to 30 emails to Donna minutes after leaving this building to get something on the agenda.
I mean, that way we got some, now we got some clarification on that.
Yeah.
It's still Trustee Wilson's time.
At the end of the meeting, if any of you fellow trustees want to look through these, you're more than happy to. There's 8 agendas here from other townships.
There should be 9.
I
Well,
didn't count
not
it.
as-
8. We're not, we have our own agenda.
You're right.
It was rather interesting, I was looking for something I'm just gonna throw this out too. What we're doing right now, the comments from township officials,
Mine's 3 of
this
them.
is just my opinion, get rid of it, because all it's gonna do is cause argument and fights. 7 of these trustees, or as trustees of these townships, they have reports from the trustees. Okay, that's it. No comments from the officials, not, elected, no comments from the elected officials, none of it. I'm just throwing that out there, it's meetings that I was with when I was on the Park District for 18 years. Old business, new business, we adjourned. And I mean, it's up to you guys, whatever, I'm just throwing it out there. There's something else here to do. None of them, as I was going through all the townships too, what you're talking about, your mission statement, not one of them had a mission statement on their front page when you were looking at it, so. I think that's about it. Do I report preliminary agenda, do something else, statement, now we got the statements. Oh, one other thing I do wanna, national night was good, but one thing I do wanna address here, because after that last month's meeting, I went home. And myself and my research, assistant, we went and we listened to the audio of that meeting. And without getting anybody mad or anything like that, I'm trying to figure out what trustee Electus said to get you upset, because the only thing trustee Electus said in that tape was bring the information back, we'll look at it.
Right.
Okay, but you supposedly said something about, you accused her of wanting everybody to be vaccinated or something like that. That's not in there.
What? I never did. What are you
I
talking about?
I just,
Okay, hold on.
well, there was an accusation. You accused her of saying something, and you told her to go look at the tape, and I don't know what she said, but I couldn't find anything but bring the information back to the meeting, along with myself and trustee Hanger. So I don't know what you know, I was confused on it, so, I mean, it just.
May I have the floor or not?
Hold on,
So,
you'll get it.
I'm done. I mean, that was it. I went and listened to it, and the only thing like I said, the only thing I heard was everybody bring it back to me. I did hear you say why it was not on the agenda. You questioned that. That is on the tape. I agree with you. And you have every right to be upset about that, but now we know through the clerk how the proper way to do that. Okay, so hopefully we clear some of this mess up in here.
One second, trustee Hacker first and then trustee Lucas.
I just wanted the floor.
There was something else we put on the agenda, we just talked about it, and I said, wow, that was easier than writing an email, and he said, that's how we do it. So when we went around and we said, bring us information, I'm willing to look at it, sure, if you wanna do the work, that equated to the same to get it on the agenda. So I didn't think I needed to write a second email. Because if it was good for one, if it was good for one, then why is it not good for what Judy asked for?
Trustee Hacker was asked to bring a presentation to the board, correct? When
you brought.
I'm sorry, trustee Lucas was asked to bring a presentation to the board, I apologize, okay, right?
When?
She was asked to bring something to the board, a presentation to the board about the COVID clinic, right? If a presentation needs to be brought to the board, just like you brought your ordinance to the board, you brought a piece of paper to the board to put in the packet. Okay, I was able to present the board with that ordinance in the packet saying, trustee Hacker wants to present this to the board, can we please have this passed? You gave physical evidence to give to the public, to give to the board. Trustee Lucas did not give that evidence, did not bring a PowerPoint presentation, did not give me a packet, did not give me a resolution for a COVID clinic. I could not present something to you to pass, to discuss, to talk about. How can I do that?
Did you reach out and let her know that?
Whose responsibility was to do that?
Well, if it's a roadblock for you to put something on there, then
It was unfinished business. She was supposed to come up with this information and bring it to me. It's kind of like
I don't agree, but all right.
you're the tile guy, right? You're the flooring guy, right? Someone needs to bring you a tool to use, right?
Let's just stop.
I'm just
I don't
saying.
agree. We can agree to disagree.
I'm
Let's
just
move
trying to
forward
say,
before we
like-
get angry.
But I'm just trying to be 100% honest with you. If she's supposed to bring something to the board to represent it and she wants something passed, she needs to bring it to the board to represent it and bring all the evidence.
I was under impression she was bringing it to the last meeting and then we were gonna look at it and vote on it.
I
That was
need to
my
have it in the
understanding.
board packet in order for the board to review it.
I
to be
understand
on
you
the
saying
agenda.
that now, but why was that not said then? Was it said, bring me a packet, and so I can put it in the thing?
How many times was this discussed prior to you guys working? You guys have said you've read the book. How many times?
Bring me the information was set, that therefore that would mean bring the information to the packet, to the agenda. Yeah, I think this is a clear case of miscommunications and new term, and I'm glad we're working it out.
You guys want transparency, you guys have to bring it to, you guys want transparency with the public, you guys have to show the public what you guys want to portray to the public. How do we do that? We do that in the board packets, right? So if you want to,
Wait till I have a lot of time.
right? I mean, that's what I did. You put your ordinance into the board packet.
I disagree with the way it was handled. You're not gonna get me to say yes. I'll be blunt.
I understand that, but your
Okay,
ordinance
so-
was put onto the board packet prior to the actual meeting.
So,
Anything else you'd like to discuss, trustee Hacker?
Nope.
Trustee Lucas?
Yes, so I was never told, I'm thinking if I bring something to the board, I'm bringing it here. I was never told that I have to hand something in. I was going to do an oral report. So for you to say that I never gave you anything, you never told me that I had to give you anything. Okay? The other thing too, as far as, I think both Mike and Don had some good points on putting things on the agenda. I like Mike's idea about sending it to 2 people, okay? However, we discussed it at the prior meeting that it would be on that agenda. So no, I did not send you another email to put it on the agenda. It was discussed at the meeting. So that's why I like Don's addition. So when somebody looks at the agenda and said, hey, wait a minute, we discussed this at the last meeting, it should be on the agenda, then we can say, this is just a draft, make sure you get it in the final ones. So I like both of the ideas. I do agree that there's a miscommunication. Never once have you instructed us that we need to present everything in writing to you ahead of time. That just
Sorry,
didn't be.
it's just regular
not right.
business, I figured.
It's not regular business, the things that I've done,
Obviously.
yeah. So that's the first thing. And also, when we got this job, I specifically asked you, how do we get something on the agenda? And you said to me, Judy, it's supposed to be 2 people, but you know what? If you want something on the agenda, just tell me and I'll put it on. We don't need a second person. So you cannot decide when you're gonna follow the rules and when you're not. Because if you don't like it, Then the other thing to mention, Don, I think, Don, you've actually confused a couple of the meetings. The first meeting, Nicole went around the board, and when I talked about the clinic, everyone made comments, and Barb said, oh, I'm open to it, bring us the information, okay? So the second meeting, which was this last meeting, when you said what I was so upset about, I was only upset when somebody's screaming at me, don't point at me, when I know I wasn't, and everybody in this room knows that they weren't.
You were.
But I was
You're doing it right
talking
now, actually.
about- Like, this
You're doing it right now.
That's your
Trustee
truth.
Lucas?
No,
Case in point,
this is.
trustee Lucas, stop. Immediately stop right now. I have a couple board members that are scared of you. I have
2 employees.
2 employees that are scared of you at this moment. You need to stop.
Who's scared of me? I want.
Enough, trustee Lucas.
I would like to
You need to
finish my
stop.
comments.
You need to stop. We're moving on now. Trustee-elect now.
May I finish?
Trustee
I
Elena.
have something different.
Absolutely not.
Wow.
I agree with Don on the comments for the elected officials. We really never had a problem with it in the past, but we're gonna have a problem with it now, I can see, because of aggressive, threatening behavior. And I'd also like to take a moment to show support for all law enforcement after what happened in Chicago the last couple of days. I think it's super important that we support them and appreciate everything they do for us. And that's it.
Assessor Malay, do you have anything else? You wanna-
I do not.
Highway Commissioner, Juzo? No. Clerk Williams?
A couple things. First off, I want to thank Betsy for covering for me last month while I was out on a wonderful family vacation out on the West Coast. Second, I would like to second what Barb said about the police officers in Chicago standing behind our men and women in blue. And tough job that they have every single day. And thoughts and prayers with those families. Also, I think there's a little bit of a miscommunication from what I had received in the minutes, and you're hearing the audio last month and again through tonight. There is a huge drop off of the expectation that you have as new trustees. This is a government position. It is not a private sector position. You were not hired by an organization, you were elected by the people, okay? When you come into an organization like a governmental organization like this, you have to take that upon yourself to learn what to do in those situations. We all had to do it when we were elected into the positions in the first place. With COVID around and the training online not being there and all that kind of stuff, there's still books on it. I think the way I was raised was, no matter what it is, you got to look out for your own development. And I think there's a little bit of an impasse here where you guys are being new in today's society and the way that jobs and training and all that comes in, you say, well, okay, well, I got here. Now tell me what I got to do, what I have to learn, what I need to get. And I think that's been missed. And unfortunately, in a governmental position like this, when you're elected by the people, that's not the case. We are all here to help. I have no qualms. If you have any questions, please come to me. I will educate you on the whole process. I was a trustee for the past 4 years. I went through it all. There's just that misstep there, because it's not really a job, that it's not training in an organization. So I think that if we can get through that, there'll be a lot more positives in the future. And I also third the getting rid of the elected official boundaries.
I throw one more thing out there.
My turn.
Yeah, okay.
This is a business meeting. This is going to be handled with decorum. I handle this meeting. I'm the head of this meeting. I move this meeting around, okay? If things are getting out of hand, I continue it. I move it to the next. I go continue it. I understand passions run high. We were elected by the people. You were chosen by the people. This is your community. I understand. We all want what's best for our community. But we have to stop. We must work together, and we have to do what's best for Winfield Township. And I believe that's what we all want, period. No fans or buts about it. Moving forward, we can definitely hear many people talk about removing comments from township officials. I can bring it up for a vote at next meeting. But we'll also have a discussion of workshop, and I'll find out a couple dates from y'all. I'll throw some out there in times, and we can go over that. I also want to make sure that with National Night that happened and everything else that's been happening out, definitely support the Blue, as well as the firefighters, and especially any of the paramedics that are going to be out and about. Hopefully this tornado that hits, it doesn't hit us in any way, shape, or form. And I also want to make sure John's guys are safe tonight. Moving forward, we do have to review semi-annual closed session minutes for 5 ILC 1202C21, discussion of and release and or hold a closed session minutes from 6/14/2021. I would like to make a move to go into executive session minutes for that.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Donnie Bowles. Any discussion on that?
Trustee Bowles? Trustee Hackett?
It's to fall into closed
Yeah,
session.
fall under it.
Oh, yeah.
Trustee Lucas?
Aye.
Can you close the door behind you?
Yep, I will.
Trustee Electa?
Aye.
Supervisor?
Aye. Motion passes. We're falling into executive session.
Falling into executive session at 7:53.
Just so you guys know, if you guys could take out this folder here, these are the executive minutes from 6/14.